Hey everyone, welcome to the Foreclosure Guy Podcast. I'm Bill. If you or someone you know is facing foreclosure or you've gotten yourself into a situation you never thought you'd be in, you're not alone. I help people understand their options, avoid the scammers, and find a path to ultimately keeping their home. Hello everyone, I'm Bill, the Idaho Foreclosure Guy. Today's guest is a former colleague and now a dear friend of mine, Candace. Say hello to the audience, Candace.
Hello.
So today, I got introduced to a new term. Apparently it's called, what did you say it was?
Edutain.
Edutain. So what does that mean?
Edutain is educating your audience while entertaining them.
Yeah. So it's one of these combo words like Brexit or,
Brexit. That's
Brangelina, whatever, where they combine the words. So today we're going to educate you or edutain on foreclosure here in Idaho.
That's right.
So Candace, I know we talked about how this is going to flow. So in Idaho, we have two different types of foreclosure. We've got judicial and non-judicial. So Idaho is a non-judicial state. All that means is the lender does not have to take you to court to start the foreclosure proceedings. All they do is hire a trustee, which is really an attorney. They do all the paperwork. Once that starts, you've got 120 days to do something, to take action, or your house goes to auction. So Candace, I've gotten into helping people in foreclosure, and obviously you know that because you're my friend, and you and I used to work together. What is your experience with people in foreclosure?
Well, Bill and I used to work together at a former company that shall remain nameless. And man, it was the most interesting experience of my life because literally this could happen to anybody. I think when you hear the word foreclosure, you automatically think it's like only riffraff or somebody that doesn't have their life together, is irresponsible. It literally could happen to anybody. And, life comes at you. But I've seen people through the whole gamut, people that were on drugs, people that have gone through divorces, incarceration, vast majority of the people with major health issues,
Right.
or facing terminal illnesses or family members. But honestly, real estate investors, financiers, business owners, this literally could happen to anybody, and it's very humbling when you see that.
Sure. Because the thing is, a lot of times people think, oh, it's just me. I screwed up so bad when, most people are one mishap away from experiencing this. And so when people find themselves in this situation, okay, you're a first timer. Here's the thing. You're a first timer going through this and you're not sure, okay, what are my options? What do I do? The key thing is always take action. In Idaho, you have 120 days from your notice of default until your auction day. So you have that much time to either work with your lender to reinstate the loan, get a loan modification, or some people just say, hey, Bill, I just want to be done with it. Let's sell this guy. And in that case, we can help out too. Candace, so on something like this, when people want to sell, right, they can sometimes think of an agent or sometimes they just want to sell to an investor. I mean, what would you want to do if you were in their situation and were considering selling?
You have to ask me that question from the lens of somebody that doesn't know any better, that hasn't worked in the industry. Working in the industry, I wouldn't sell to an investor at all. I would sell to a friend, somebody I've previously done business with, that I've seen their track record, vetted them.
Okay.
But if I'm going into this not knowing anything, I would hear fancy real estate investor all day long and be like, oh, they must know, they must have my best interest, when it's not the case most of the time. So it's really a two-part answer to that, depending on nuance and which angle you're coming from.
Sure. So on that note, let's talk about selling to an investor. And I'm going to do something what's known as a scorch, right? It's not a very nice term, but there are downfalls or, reasons not to sell to an investor. So whenever I meet somebody who's considering selling and they're like, hey, Bill, I'm talking to you and whatever, 2 other people, I'm like, that's great. And I pull out a purchase and sale agreement and I show them in paper, right, in writing, here's what to look out for. The first thing is you want to make sure somebody, whoever's coming in, if they're a legit buyer, they should be able to put down $10,000 in non-refundable earnest money. And it should go hard immediately with no contingencies. A lot of times when investors try to buy your house, they want to get in with as little as possible. I know of a company who tries to get in with just $100 in earnest money. Okay. That doesn't sound like skin in the game to me. Why is this important? Because if they back out of the deal, what's to protect you as the homeowner / seller, right? So if they put down $10K, that means that no matter what happens, if they back out of the deal or for whatever reason, you put that $10K in your pocket. Another issue I've noticed is what's called an assignment clause. In the fine print of that contract that wholesaler is putting in front of you, there's what's called an assignment clause. Great. What that means is they can buy your house, or on paper, they can get a contract, right? Get you to agree to a sale price and a sale date. And what they can do then is then take that and market it to their list of buyers. Now, that sounds all well and good. However, what if, they sell it to Mike Johnson? I'll make up a name. And Mike says, yeah, I want to buy the house. And then for whatever reason, his finances don't come through. You're the one on the clock. So for me, it would be a non-negotiable. In the notes, I would say non-assignable contract. You are not able to assign this to another buyer. And I would want to see proof of funds, meaning I would want that wholesaler or whoever it was buying it to show me a bank statement saying, hey, I have the funds in this account to close on this. Okay. So again, 2 things, $10K non-refundable earnest money and a bank statement showing that they have enough funds in their account to close on this. The next thing, no inspections. Here's why that matters. They do this all day, every day. They should be able to look your house up and down and say, yeah, this is good. Here's why that matters. A lot of times what they'll do is when they're bringing their other buyers through your house, they're going to say, well, hey, these are just our contractors and they're just going to give us some estimates. Don't believe it. If they really insist on having a quote unquote contractor come through, you want to see their driver's license, you want to see their contractor's license, and it should match up. And the person coming to your house should match up with all that, right? If it says, Bob Jones on the license and the contractor license, that should be who's coming to your house. And if they push back on any of these, that's a red flag. Okay. If they push back on the non-assignment clause, if they push back on the earnest money or the bank statement, those are all red flags. Okay. That's an indicator that you should not be doing business with this person. Okay. Because they're not who they say they are. Anyone, Candace, you know this, anyone can go on the internet or YouTube and learn how to be a wholesaler. Okay. And there's a lot of pretenders out there. Candace, have you seen, where wholesalers or anyone else hasn't performed on a contract?
100%. And the problem is when you're under contract, people don't realize that means under contract. That contract is literally hanging over your head and you can't do anything while you're under contract with anybody else. But this investor that's buying your house can do whatever they want. So how's that fair?
So I think to educate our viewers right now, what she means by under contract is you've got a purchase agreement in place to sell your property to a person or entity. You have a purchase price and a closing date. That's what we call in the industry under contract. And to perform means, hey, I'm actually going to do what I say I'm going to do, and I've got some skin in the game, meaning earnest money. A lot of these guys don't. They'll try to get away with, again, the $100 in earnest money, which is chicken feed, to be honest. Next. Selling with an agent. Now, a lot of people think of that as being a more legit way to go, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, agents come and they've got their great business cards and their great brokerage that, we've sold thousands of properties over the years. We know what we're doing. Can you see any issue with selling with an agent?
Absolutely. Again, you're under contract and they're going to try to delay the process as much as possible with red tape. There's multiple parties involved, brokers, mortgage lenders, all these different people, too many cooks in the kitchen, to be honest. And as much freedom as you have selling to an investor to do things creatively, going on market, and then they're asking for you to rehab this or rehab this, and then inspections. And at the end of the day, you're up against the clock. You don't have time for all that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Candace, I totally agree. I mean, I know agents want the house to be picture perfect and market ready. And the truth is, let's face it, if you're in default, you're going through foreclosure, you already don't have money. Because if you had money, you'd reinstate the loan. You'd have one guy behind in the first place. So to ask them to, replace the roof or paint the house or, the kitchen sink or whatever it is, a lot of people in that scenario don't have the money. And we all know, like, listing with an agent, they're going to try to get top dollar. And one of the things that's happened to me, I've experienced personally, is I've done several fix and flips and I've had agents want to list it really high. Now, if you've got time on the clock and, you don't need the money, I guess that's not an issue. If you really need to be done with it, one of the things I would do is ask an agent for a price, what they think it would go for. And once they give you that price, I would then say, okay, well, if you don't get a full price offer in the first 30 days, are you willing to waive your commission? Now, the sad truth about realtors is, obviously we all want to make a living, but they're interested in that 6%. Okay. And I'm not making it right, wrong, or whatever. It just is what it is. They want to get paid and I don't blame them. So if they list it too high and your auction date is coming, that's valuable time. What they're going to want to do is sign what's called a 6-month listing agreement. Okay. You're not just signing a listing agreement. It's often for 6 months. Once you sign that agreement, you have no say in the matter. Okay. You can't go, if you try to sell it to an investor, that agent is still going to want their cut, even though they didn't get the house sold for you. So just something to be wary of. Okay. If you want to go with an agent, you're welcome to do that. Just know what it is.
Bill, I'm going to flip the script on you here.
Please do.
Yeah. As much as I love you, I love you. How are you any different? Like, why would anybody trust you? Like, you're here to make money. Like, what's the deal here?
Yeah, no, I'm another investor scoundrel, right? Seriously. So here's what I like to do, right? Each person's situation is different. Most people in this situation, Candace, they want to feel heard, right? And they want to know that you're on their side, because the biggest thing is they don't know who to trust. And this is their life and their home we're talking about here. Okay. So tread lightly. Right. And I know that when I'm in there, when I'm sitting down with them in their living room, there's a certain amount of like bedside manner, respect, consideration that you need to have.
Respect.
Yeah.
It's huge.
So, cause people don't care what you know until they know that you care. Right. Was that Teddy Roosevelt said that?
Mm-hmm.
And so sit down. We want to hear them out. You're going to find out, and just listening, they're going to tell you, hey, this is what's important to me, and this is what I need, and this is what I'm concerned about. And if you pay attention, you'll hear all that. So we do the sit down in the living room. We find out what they need. If they're looking to sell, right, which is what we're talking about. If they're looking to sell, then we go over their timeline. A lot of people think it's about price. It's not always about price. The first thing is, what is your time frame? Like, how long do you need to move on? And we write it down and we refer to that date. Okay, great. Are you moving into another house? You moving in with a family member? I've talked to people that just said, I've been wanting to go get an RV and, go through Montana and Yellowstone and all over and all to Florida, you name it. So work out a time frame, and then I work out a price that works for everybody. Okay. A realistic price. There's no agents involved, no closing costs. There's none of that. And I buy it as is. The next thing I want harp on is I don't use fear tactics. Now,
It's huge.
I'll be vague, but I was once trained to use fear tactics, and I never did it, and I never liked it because I didn't believe in it. To use fear tactics on people.
Where were you trained to do this? Because I might know a place that I was trained to.
Well, we'll skip over all that, but I never believe in using fear. Yeah, I won't use fear, and I won't try to put the squeeze on anybody. I never believe in that, and I think it's despicable to do. Mm-hmm. So I want these people to know that I am their advocate and that I'm on their side, and I truly want to help them move on or do what's best for them. Because sometimes moving on from that house is the best solution, right? That is the move. You know, hey, the roof needs replacing, or the HVAC went out, or whatever's going on. It's too much house to manage. You know, sometimes we see it to where, you know, it's 70-something-year-old widow, and the husband used to take care of everything, and she can't do it on her own. It's too much. Mm-hmm. So moving on sometimes is the right move.
Can I ask you, how often are you buying these homes versus helping people stay in them?
So it depends. If they express to me that, hey, I just want to sell, buy, 2 or 3 a month. And ideally, I'd like to help people stay in there. If they say, hey, Bill, I just want to stay in there, then we'll help them stay. It's not a big deal.
What's the advantage to you on that? I mean, you don't make any money.
No, but it is goodwill. And to me, goodwill is important. It's not all about the money. It's about service for me. I mean, goodwill is the most valuable currency there is.
Yeah.
And I enjoy, there's something about being vested in people that is near and dear to my heart.
Well, I mean, case in point that a former, current homeowner, because you helped her stay in her home, she is now a friend and colleague and works for you. So, I mean, case in point, your reputation precedes you.
Yeah. The next thing is, Candace, there's a couple no-nos in this industry. I've talked to other investors who are more seasoned than I am, and there's certain things that they will not do that I have done for people.
Breaking the cardinal rules.
I'm breaking the cardinal rules, and I've released earnest money before close. I had one person, this gentleman was incarcerated, and his mother was helping him with his affairs. And, she was older, and it was a lot for her. Okay. And she said, hey, Bill, I want to work with you. And I want to have the house empty. Because when I buy a property, one of the things I ask them to do is, hey, can we make sure that it's empty when we close? And she said, sure, I'd love to do it, but I don't have any money for a storage unit. And I said, okay, well, we'll release some money in good faith. And again, that's a big no-no. And I had one of my employees move everything out of the house into that storage unit, and she was incredibly grateful. Again,
you're actually helping boots on the ground. Just saying.
It's my pleasure. Another situation where I bought somebody's property was, I won't say their name, but it was here in Idaho and in Middleton, where the husband had fallen on hard times, was out of work, and they really wanted the option to buy it back. They knew they couldn't keep it. So I did buy a property from somebody, and I leased it back to them, which again is a major no-no in the industry. And most investors will tell you not to do that.
Why? Why wouldn't you want to help people?
Because getting them back, if something goes south, they don't pay the rent, right? They used to own it. Now they're renters. If they don't pay it, there is a chance they could try to tie you up in litigation or call you, a predatory buyer, predatory lending, predatory whatever. And as the investor, I mean, they're not going to look upon you favorably in a court of law for any kind of suit like that. And could that happen to me? I don't think so. I mean, anything could happen, but my goal is to try to help this family, and they do have the option to buy it back in a certain time frame.
Nice.
And for a price that works for both of us. Okay. That they were totally fine with.
Hey, I mean, if you're helping people and improving their lives, they want you to win too.
Sure.
Transparency. It's like there's enough for everybody to eat.
Sure. And, again, it's my pleasure to serve, and I will go outside the kind of like the realms of what's okay in the industry as far as not okay. That's definitely cut that out. What's okay.
We're keeping it.
Yeah, I have him saying that right here.
I always knew you were a rule breaker, like seriously, but I didn't think you were at first, but then I knew it moments after I met you. But military guy,
right.
Very regimented, very disciplined, but rule breaker in a good way, because in the humanitarian aspect. Sure. And, I'll never forget the story you told me about, like how you knew you were sitting on the wrong side of the table and you picked up the phone and made a phone call that you weren't supposed to make, but it saved the person's home.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is it about goodwill or good rules?
No, it's about how do I serve? That's it. Whenever I go somewhere, I remember I had this one single mom, and I remember
don't tug at my heartstrings.
Yeah, I remember sitting in my car, I was wondering, what do I do? Because I don't think she has any options. And I had another investor tell me, look, man, just give her a few $1,000 to move on and take the house. And in the moment I was like, man, I don't know, what do I do? And I remember sitting in my car and I was like, God, please tell me how I serve this person. And I knew if she lost that house with the payment she had and the interest rate, she was never going to get that again. Okay. She just wasn't. And I've said that about numerous people. Okay. Not just people who've been on a podcast, but it's been true numerous times. If they lose out on this, they ain't never getting it back. Mm-hmm. But it is about the goodwill. And you referenced a situation earlier with another company, and they tried to take advantage of somebody that we were supposed to help. And, after that meeting was over, I did go back to that person, that woman who owned the house. And I said, I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't know they're going to try to do you that way. And I helped her find a solution that ultimately ended up keeping her home. And again, I didn't make any money off of that, and that's okay. I'm totally fine with that. I just, my heart is in serving others. And, if it doesn't make me a millionaire, that's okay. That's not what it's about for me, but I just want people to be taken care of the way I would want my mom or my grandmother taken care of, not just, fleeced, which is more common than you think. Okay. People trying to fleece.
What do you mean fleece?
Oh, just let's take all the equity or take what we can from this person and offer them very little. Mm. I've never felt good about that. I've never liked that.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Love over fear. Anything we do from a love mindset, and that's the same realm, service, gratitude over fear, greed, all those things. And there's also nothing wrong with making money, but doing it from the right place.
Agreed.
Absolutely. You're an inspiration to me, my friend. I can't wait to film more of these.
Thank you, Candace. Hey, everyone. That's all for today. Thanks for listening. If you or someone you know is facing foreclosure, don't hesitate to reach out or share this with them. Take action by liking, following, and subscribing. Thank you.